Hi friends, it's Tracy from the Financial Freedom Diary, and today we are back with another Sip and Serve. So today I wanted to talk about the student loan benefit that is contained in the CARES Act that was recently signed. There's several little topics I wanted to touch on, and also I wanted to let you know, so this is a warning. You're going to hear this phrase a lot. Every time I say contact your loan servicing provider, take a sip because I'm going to say it a lot. But there's several topics that I wanted to cover, and because I felt like as I was doing my research, there were some things out there that was kind of misleading to me. And since I can't find the legal jargon for what's in there, it's hard. And so it's like trying to find a reputable source is quite challenging, and I know that can be intimidating for people who are trying to figure out what should they do next. So I'm going to share the sites that I found, and I'm going to talk about some of the inconsistencies that I saw too. Okay, so you guys stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to cover is what qualifies and what doesn't. So you need to know whether the student loans that you have, do they all qualify, do part, what's up, or do none of them. So what qualifies for the student loan benefits are direct loans, Perkins loans, FFEL. I always get this messed up. It's federal. I had to look at my notes. Federal Family Education Loan. So that's a program, and they have to be owned by the Department of Education. And so there's certain loan providers that actually do the collections for the government. And so like mine is through Fed Loan. And so they qualify because that's what all of my student loans are. But some people have a mix. They have some private, they have some that are commercially held, and those don't qualify. If you're not certain, contact your loan servicing provider. See, I'm even messing that up. And I promise I ain't drinking. So maybe you are a student, or you have a child that's in college, or you have a family member that's in college and their education was interrupted by everything that's going on. I know that a lot of schools have gone to online formats as far as how they're going to continue to end the semester for people who do have financial aid. But what if the student had to drop out for whatever reason because of this whole thing? What happens with their financial aid? Do they have to pay anything back? What about those student loans that they took out? How does all that work? In this scenario, I haven't read anything that's been clear saying, okay, yes, they are going to cancel your student loans. You should contact your financial aid office, even though a lot of the schools have closed down, like physical face-to-face type things. They've kept the school open so that you can call in and contact them to ask these types of questions. And so you are going to want to contact your financial aid office or the student's financial aid office just to get the latest update from that particular institution, because you guys know it can change from one school to the next. And so you don't want to like have this blanket rule saying this is what's going to happen, but find out that that school is actually doing something else. So, for payment suspensions, I know this is where a lot of people have some interest in this and trying to figure out what to do. I have been researching this, and so there will be payment suspensions. But what I read on studentaid.gov is that you have to contact your loan servicing provider and ask them for an administrative forbearance. I'm not sure if there's any forms you have to fill out or if it's something you can do online, but you're going to want to have to do that. Now, this is for non-defaulted student loans. So if you have defaulted, then the next topic is going to apply. But if you haven't defaulted and you know that, you're kind of, and you want to be able just like, I just want to save some money because I don't know what's going to happen right now. And so I'd rather be safe than sorry. Make sure you contact them, and then that way you know what steps to take. And then that way you are not doing anything that's going to have a negative consequence in the end. The word forbearance bothers me. And the reason why it bothers me is because of, typically with a forbearance, at the end of the forbearance, the interest capitalizes. We know there's an interest waiver, but there are different scenarios that could have taken place. The rule was made on the 13th. So somebody like me, whose payment comes out on the 18th, paid all of the interest up to that point. Since it's after the date that the ruling was made, I don't have any interest accruing on my account. Now, think about somebody who's on the other side of the 13th. So they posted their payment, let's say the 5th. They have outstanding interest from the 6th through the 12th. And at the end of a forbearance, that amount gets added to the principal. And so when they charge interest in the future, they actually get more in the interest on you. So that's the whole thing about that. And that's why I don't really like the forbearance. And that's why I'm like, call and see, because I've been seeing conflicting things. And in this time of uncertainty, you want to be certain how you move with your money. You don't want to leave it up to other people's guesses, to you doing something, or you don't do anything at all. And then they put it on the administrative forbearance, which is supposed to be something that they're supposed to do. But I am not a fan of leaving my fate in the hands of other people. So make sure you contact them to see how that works and if that interest is going to capitalize. I would personally have a list, and it would have my questions on there, so that way they're all written out. So when I make my phone call, and it's going to take you forever to get somebody, I'm 1, 2, 3 all the way down and getting those answers that I need. So that way when I get off that phone, I know I'm ready. And you're moving based on facts. Okay, facts, y'all. Okay, so next up is collection suspension. This is for anyone that has defaulted on their student loans, federal student loans, and they're having money taking garnishments, or they have set something up like in a rehabilitation program. Those are supposed to be suspended for this time frame, and it's supposed to be, the end date is 9/30/2020, but you want to contact them to see if there is an end date. Like I said before, on studentaid.gov, I am not seeing the end date. I'm just seeing the beginning date, which is March 13th. But yes, they're supposed to be suspending the collections and everything. Now, you'll want to check and say, okay, what about collection fees? Do they increase? Is there any capitalized interest? Because I don't think they're supposed to gain any interest in that time either. But you do want to check on all these things and ask these questions to make sure that you truly understand. And so if you don't know what a rehabilitation is, that is where you set up, let's say you default on your loans because you haven't been paying them for however long. It's a collection agency will contact you, and you can set up a payment arrangement with them. And I think it's about 9 or 10 payments have to be made in a row, or was it 9 out of 10? It's one of those two. But when you're done, they sell it to a non-default loan servicing providing agency, and then you go from there. Now, you can only do that one time. And once you're done, they'll remove the default from your credit history, and you're also eligible for federal student aid again after you have satisfied that. So that's a good tidbit. Also, another good tidbit to understand is garnishment with student loans. Not only can they take your taxes, your income tax refund, they can also garnish your wages, and they can get I think it's called either an administrative judgment or non-judicial judgment. And this is where they don't necessarily have to take you to court to collect their money from your employer. So be careful, especially if you hear people talking about, I'm just not going to pay. Sometimes people don't know what they can do with federal student loans. They don't know that, okay, it has about that same power as the IRS. If you ain't playing with one, you probably shouldn't play with another one. That's just a little tip. And also, they can be collecting from people's Social Security, because you know that, let's say if my kids went to school and I didn't know any better, I could have been taking out parent loans for my children because I didn't have any money to send them to college if they chose to go that route. And I know some people who they've done that, and they actually have like 6-figure student loans for the kids. And so, you know, but this is suspension for the time being. But I just want to let you know, like, the power behind federal student loans, what do certain terms mean, so that way you can go and make informed decisions, or you can help somebody else make an informed decision, or just say, hey, I don't know where you heard that from, but you might want to check out this site right here. Okay, so interest waivers. So we know that during this time, no interest is supposed to be accruing on your student loans. I have seen on a couple of websites that the end date is 9/30/2020. But guess what? I'm not seeing it. Studentaid.gov or Fed Loan. I don't know why, but So I don't know if that's because their sites haven't been updated or what, but during this time frame, you're not accruing any interest. So any payments that you're making during this time period is supposed to go directly to the principal. But I'm wondering if you have outstanding interest, because I gave you the scenario. If you put in your payment on March 2nd and they made the ruling on March 3rd, or the decision or whatever on March, not 3rd, but 13th, you have that period of outstanding interest from the 3rd through the 12th. How does that work for you? Can you go ahead and pay that interest off and get it out of your hair, and get rid of it? And then from that point on, you're always hitting that principal, because the more it goes to the principal, it reduces the interest you're going to be charged in the future. And that's the way I'm looking at it. So if y'all heard anything different, please let me know. But from what I've been reading, I haven't seen anything, and I'm wondering about that. Also, public service loan forgiveness. If you, let's say it is the 6 months until September 2020, what the, I ain't even alive then. But but let's say that you are in that program and you're trying to get your loans forgiven in 10 years or 120 consecutive payments. Will this count towards your time if you suspend that? I have seen conflicting information on that. On studentaid.gov, I'm seeing that it will not count towards that time, that 120 payments you need to make. I've seen on these other websites that are not studentaid.gov that say that it will. On Fed Loan site, I'm seeing that it won't. So I don't know where these other places are getting their information, but that is another one where you want to contact your loan servicing provider. I don't have anything else to drink because I don't drink it all. And it was just Coke Zero. But and I know that's bad for me, but it's my one little treat But anywho, but you want to make sure that is, you understand what you're about to do. So if you suspend the payment, you don't, you go into the administrative forbearance and you go in and you suspend your automated debits or however you got yours set up. What are the effects as it relates to that program? Because you want to make sure that as you move with certainty and that you're following the rules. You don't want to make a move on, let's say I tell you, oh yeah, girl, it's going down, and it doesn't, because you missed those 6 payments. What does it cost me? Nothing. But what does it cost you? So that's the thing that you want to be very certain about. And that's another reason to call them and to create that list of questions, because I try to be conscious about what I say. And I think that a lot of people don't intentionally try to mislead people, but it's easy to do when you talk about federal student aid. It's easy to do if you don't know all the nuances and stuff. So check that out, you guys. And I'm going to end this video here because I think I've made it pretty long, and I think I'm going to follow up with another one to talk to you guys about my decision making and what I'm going to do, so that way you understand why I'm moving the way I'm moving. I think I've told you guys some things, but I'm thinking there's a lot going on up here in my head. And I promise I'm not crazy, but maybe I am. But you guys have a super fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. I will talk to y'all later, and you have a great one. Bye.